So there was the Wrap tweeted out that because there's more up to this now. The word has gotten out that they're trying to basically blame the Bond fiasco, where Barbara Broccoli said everybody at Amazon's a bunch of fucking idiots. And I'm guessing this was the head fucking idiot. I would agree with her.
Might be referring to her.
Bond bit her on her ass. Jen Salke exits a changing Amazon Studios that she helped grow.
That is not a Bond for the Me Too era right there.
No. This is the woman
Unless he asked for consent first.
This is also the woman who canceled Conan because it was filled with too much toxic masculinity. A Conan series that was run by Ryan Condell and Miguel Sapochnik, who started up House of the Dragon.
I find that so funny from the studio that was wanting the next Game of Thrones, and to have a property here that's just full of like violence, tits, and everything. And there's like, no, let's not do that one, and we'll.
Well, they were talking about season 8 Game of Thrones.
Yeah, when they heard Game of Thrones, they stopped at the first syllable.
Yeah, like that is also like even just your reaction to that, Shad, is like such a big part of the problem with studios looking for the next Game of Thrones, because they equate it to that violence and tits, which is not what made Game of Thrones Game of Thrones. What made Game of Thrones Game of Thrones is the writing, the character development, and the political maneuvering.
And then tits.
Everything else on top of it, sure. Yeah. But that is what made that show compelling. That is why those first 4 seasons continue to grow and grow and grow, and eventually got so many people invested. And the reason that it went downhill the way it did is because that got left in the backdrop and started becoming all about the grandiose and the violence and the big battles and the bullshit.
Yeah, and they could have done that with Conan. The Hyborian Age. Yeah, you could have absolutely It's a world just as big as Tolkien's. It is fucking huge. And just base it on the Robert E. Howard stuff, and it would have been fucking awesome. Sharon Tal Yaguido, who was...
I would say Yaguado.
Who worked under Roy Price, was the one who helped secure the rights to Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings, The Boys, Invincible. She also worked on a little show get up and running called Walking Dead. You know, she's also kind of a nerd. Actually read the Conan books, helped secure those Conan rights that Salke canceled. So yes, bit of an extra grind, was forced out. Very generous to say Bond was the reason. This was the most irresponsible and wasteful run of TV excess in the history of Hollywood. I will never forget how she called the Russo brothers a day before an upfront and made up a show they could announce before she knew what it was. That was Citadel.
That's the kind of bold thinking that you need to lead the industry.
Risk-taking.
Citadel was like one of their most expensive series because it was spin-off around the world. And so you're talking multiple hundreds of millions for multiple series. And she just made it up on the spot.
She made it up on the spot so she could get the Russos, which, I mean, after watching The Electric State, I don't know if they're that sexy of a pick anymore. I wonder if Marvel thinks that too. So yeah, she threw a little shade, which I think is glorious. I think more executives should be talking shit to each other, calling each other out, and Sharon's probably very happy today. But what's sad is we could have had a good Conan show, a good Lord of the Rings show, or at least a crack at a good Lord of the Rings show. And
sure, could have. There is no reason why that show shouldn't have been amazing and excellent with all of the money that they have to throw at everything. They could have hired anyone they wanted.
Just requires talent.
I think there's a
buy talent.
There's a level of money where it becomes bad again. Like the more money you put in, the worse it gets. It seems it's like you just get more bloat, you get more incompetence the more money you put into a project.
Citadel bored the shit out of me, and it really, and I know you kind of liked it, Ryan, but it really does feel like a show that was made up on the fly.
It does.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't love it or anything, but it's like I thought it was okay. I like Bodyguard a lot better.
Yeah.
Hey, for $300 million though, that you can't do that. $300 million for 6 fucking episodes of Citadel. 6 episodes.
Second most expensive show they've done, behind the most expensive TV show ever made, The Rings of Power, which is currently in production. But I think the answer, the question is, like, Does it get its 5 seasons? And I don't think so at this point.
No, I don't know if Rings of Power is going to get its seasons. Do you think there will be one after 3?
That's what he's
Highly
saying.
questionable.
Is Rings of Power going to get 5? And I
Not
would,
5.
you know, I said this when we heard the first thing about season 3 and that it was going to be a big time jump and they were going to be in the middle of the war and everything. I said, I wonder if they're considering this being the final season, like this being the last one.
Consider how long it took us to get the confirmation for season 3. Season 2 had been done and gone, and the ashes has settled, and people had already started to forget about it, and we were still waiting to get a confirmation for season 3. There might be a 4. There probably will be a 4. I don't think there'll be a 5. I think 5's no way.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
I think the 4th season is like 3 episodes, and the way they deal with time in it, fuck it. They'll have Sauron surrender to Ar-Pharazôn in the first episode, and then two days later, it'll be the fall of Numenor, and then they'll just fly right over, and then the world will go from flat to round, and then they'll go to the War of the Last Alliance. It'll all happen in a week.
How is
never mind as those thousands of years apart, but you know what the hell.
And it did seem that for a while they were rotating Rings of Power and Wheel of Time in the same time period as sort of their prestige series. Wheel of Time just got dropped in the dead period when no one's watching it. So that's gone. I doubt that'll get a season 4 at this point.
They saw Willow and they said, "Hold my beer."
Greatest disaster that's ever happened. Not giving Willow a season 2.
Unironically, that show is if you could find it, because Disney's trying to scrub it from history. But it is unironically a very entertainingly, horrifically bad.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Would recommend 100%.
I actually realized I have a couple of episodes of Willow on my computer. So
I have the whole series.
They're around.
I have the whole series as well.
They're around.
There's bootlegs
Would
of it.
recommend.
I saw a bootleg at a last Comic-Con I was at. So there are bootlegs of
Somebody
it.
printed it onto a disc.
Yes.
It has to be preserved. That's like a once in a lifetime experience.
Belongs in a museum.
It's historic.
Along with Batgirl.
It's historic. So unfortunately, yeah, the Rings of Power is not going to be saved, and we don't have to worry about that show for at least 2 more years. Anyway, I doubt it comes out next year. I highly doubt it comes out next year, which I don't care. I honestly don't care at this point. It's disgusting, but it's great that this happened. Does Bond have a chance? Probably not, because Amy Pascal will be producing the movies. That is like the worst. That's worse than Jennifer Salke, dude. That's worse.
Maybe she could just handle the Moneypenny spin-off. Just put her on that.
God, I hope so. And then we can just ignore it.
It makes so much sense. We talked about this yesterday, Gary, that you have all these discussions and fighting with Barbara Broccoli and the people in control of the Bond franchise. They don't like, because you're basically talking about all these fucking spin-offs, all these things set in the James Bond universe with no James Bond involved.
That's just like the world, though. That's just like our world. The world without James Bond is just I live there.
Yeah.
True. and so that's what you want to do. Who do you bring in? The dumb bitch that decided a bunch of movies set in the Sony Spider-Man universe without a fucking Spider-Man would be a good idea. That's literally who they brought in, is Amy Pascal.
Talk about she's perfect.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.